Hey, fellow golfers, this is Robbie from Best Ball. One of the most popular names in the golf accessory market today is Western Birch. Stop reaching in your pocket for boring plastic or plain white golf tees and elevate your game with premium wooden golf tees from Western Birch. You can customize both the hardwood and bamboo tees with one of their signature stripe patterns in a wide variety of colors. These tees are stylish enough to stand apart from the crowd, traditional enough to align with golf's heritage, and durable enough to make you forget about using anything else. Enter the code BESTBALL in the promo field in your shipping cart to add a free gift to your order. So visit westernbirch.com and get your own premium wood golf tees in the style that suits your game.
Hello and welcome once again to the Caddy Tales podcast. I am Mark the Caddy. I am joined by my friend, colleague, sidekick, and fellow looper Nick, and we are excited to once again be talking to you about how the beautiful game of golf intersects with our wonderful lives. Before we do that, though, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Holderness and Bourne. Check them out at hbgolf.com. Type in the promo code BESTBALL and get yourself some free shipping. Really do take a look, though, friends. They've got some really, really good stuff. I am not a fashionista by any means, but I really like the fit of these clothes and how they are loose when I'm out on the course, and yet they are in a way that doesn't feel like they're hanging or that I look sloppy. So especially for maybe medium to larger size golfers, just an excellent choice. So check them out at hbgolf.com. That word fashionista kind of raised your eyebrows there, didn't it, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it must be good if they can make you look halfway decent, you know?
Yeah, right? No kidding. No offense taken, though I know it was intended. So, yeah. So anyways, hey, let's just jump into it as we often do or always do here. What was your favorite moment this week?
So yeah, I had a group of guys from Cleveland this week that were just great to caddy for, just perfect, you know, Browns fans, just love Cleveland. And one guy in the group, Cleveland rocks, yeah. And one guy in the group could just absolutely smash the golf ball to like 330, and pretty good player too. So yeah, it was fun to caddy for.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it feels like this year there's been just a lot of more big hitters that we've gotten, like over 300-yard hitters.
Yeah, maybe it's got to do with like fittings and stuff like that. You know, everybody's getting fit these days.
Yeah. Good. We're just going to be back at the tips every day. You
and I?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You know what my favorite moment was? And I want to preface this by saying that I am working extra days, my scheduled days off. But this past Sunday, I got a cut. And I actually really was just super strategic about it. I knew the manager that would be in there. I knew he liked coffee.
What's a cut? I haven't gotten one of those in a while.
Yeah, right. So I took him. It was rainy. I didn't want to be out in the rain.
Yes.
I knew I was working some extra days, you know, and stuff. And I'm like, I got him a coffee and put a note underneath it that said, I'll do unspeakable things for a cut. But no.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't have to do anything really.
Well, that must be nice.
Yeah. So, and so it was just one of those days. I love being out on the golf course. There's only so many days left. I get it, but it was rainy, overcast.
Rainy days are tough. Yeah.
You know, football is on. It was just basically one of those days where you're meant to be in your chair eating chili, watching football.
Yeah,
and,
under a blanket.
Yeah. I mean, it just and to be honest, this year I really haven't had many cuts at all. It just hasn't been that way, you know. And I mean, I don't want to take a bunch of cuts, and there haven't been many opportunities. And this week, though, I was more than happy to come home early, and very thankful for that. So that was my favorite moment from this past week. But also, you know, lots of days out on the course and working with people who are on various trips. And that's what we want to talk about today, Nick. We are now coming to the end of this season. And I know there are places in the country where you can play golf all year round. But, you know, the pro golf season's winding down. The kids are in school for people. You know, the rhythm of life is such that maybe now people are starting to think about their golf trip for next summer. And so we want to talk about maybe some things that people should think about, because I do think we get some good insights through what we do working with our players about what works and what doesn't work. It's hard though, because if you were to say to me, okay, here, Mark, here's X amount of money, and you can plan a golf trip with, either, a few 4 or 8 of your buddies or whatever, 3 or 7 of your buddies plus you. And so it would be like the most fun thing to text about and talk about for a long time, you know? So, I mean, I totally get the excitement. Okay.
Yeah. The build up.
Yeah. And yet, we also see that maybe there's things that are realistically going to happen on the golf trip, some things that don't maybe go as planned, all that kind of stuff. And so we want to talk about it. But, like, who would you go with, and where would you like to go? If I said, hey, Nick, here's an unlimited budget for a golf trip for next year, where would you want to go?
Yeah, if I had an unlimited budget, I'd probably pick, like, Bandon Dunes. I know it's kind of a cliche one, but, like, everyone seems like they have a good time there, after our course, of course,
That I will say, Bandon Dunes, of all the golf trips that people have, does sound like the buddies golf trip.
Yeah. It seems like everyone has a good time there, and it's in the middle of nowhere, so you're kind of like forced to hang out with each other too, and like it's probably like less about going out on the town after you're done and everything like that too,
Yeah, no, I think that'd be a great place. Who would you go with, Nick? Are you gonna have to say me?
No. Definitely not you. No, you'd be in there. Yeah, you, maybe Corey, and I don't know, Peter, Gavin. I don't know. Have to take you guys, Yeah,
that's right. I mean, would you rather go with your caddy friends or your like high school buds?
I don't know. It'd be like it's two different
separate trips.
Yeah, 2 different kinds of fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which ones would you be more likely to get into like terrible trouble with?
Probably my high school buddies.
Yeah.
Surprising,
well,
right?
that's scary because I've seen what you do. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think that Bandon's a good one. Where I want to go though, like I just have met so many cool people from the Carolinas. Through this job that like if I wanted one that was like a less expensive golf trip and maybe easier access, and of course it's like Myrtle Beach area sounds like there's just a myriad of opportunities.
I've heard that's a great value.
Yeah, great value. And then I think that Pinehurst, though, jumps out at me as a place like that I think I could take my wife to. It sounds like that would be more of like the couples golf trip. And then buddies, I do think Bandon, you know which golf course and a golf trip that I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't get excited about it is Pebble.
No.
And maybe it's just I've heard so many people talk about it that it's like I want to be contrarian. I mean, if you called me tomorrow and said, Mark, do you want to go to Pebble Beach? I'm going to go. But
no offense, Cutter.
Yeah, no offense, Cutter. Yeah, in Cutter, you would certainly be our caddy.
Yeah.
No,
I get what you're saying. Like, I've heard people refer to it as like kind of like a factory, the way they run things. Like, they try to get people through the gates and get them in, get them out, take the money and go.
Yeah,
I get it.
All these places need revenue. Shadow Creek out in there sounds like a different kind of golf trip.
Yeah. Sounds expensive.
So, it sounds like they get a clientele that it doesn't matter for, So, but one thing we always do like is when we see Shadow Creek tags on our players' bags, it usually means something good for us.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. But Arizona, whatever. But I think if I could plan a golf trip with my wife, it would be to Pinehurst. And if I was going with the buddies, I think it would be to Bandon Dunes, like you. It just sounds like. And then one that's close by that I hear nothing but good things about is Sand Valley.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
There.
I was going to say, like, if you're actually a more realistic one for us would probably be like Sand Valley. I think that'd be pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, and I think that it's great value as well. So, and also like probably a little more of a fit for my game. I hear the courses are a little more forgiving.
Large fairways.
Yeah, right. yeah, so let's get one planned sometime, and get some boys on it and have a great time. I think it's time we do that. All right, so I just caddied for some guys on Monday. Cool guys.
Yeah.
But when they tell you they've played like 92 holes of golf in the preceding few days, what's your first thought, Nick?
They're probably tired and exhausted and not super excited to play golf right now.
Yeah,
but
right. I have had one time this year, only one, and this is the only time I can remember this ever happening, because these were like your kind of stereotypical grinding type players, young golf bro buds, all that. And a few of the guys were like telling me they did not want to be out there. They added an extra day onto the trip,
Well, especially if you're like drinking at night and stuff like that, you're probably a little hungover. And,
they're like, one guy kind of forced us into it and whatever. And but they were like, because they had a day gap. They were heading down to Erin Hills.
Okay.
And so they had a day gap, and I think most of them were content with sleeping in and then driving down to Erin Hills and staying there the night and then playing the next day. And I think a couple of them talked them into adding a day on with us, and it was just a little overwhelming for them. And so you're like walking with guys who are just dead, like who are having no fun at all. And not only are they not having any fun because they're too tired to play golf anymore, but they just spent a ridiculous amount of money to have no fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, glad I pulled these bags today. They were really good guys and it was fine, but there's a totally different vibe that happens when you catch guys like that. And so anyway, I had these guys on Monday, and they had played like 92 holes, and they kept a good attitude and stuff like that, but you could just tell they were tired.
Yeah. It can be a little much. I mean, I'll do 36 in a day and I'll be exhausted too,
Yeah. And I think that like it's underestimated when you're eager. Oh, we're going to do 36 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think people, because it's golf and it's not like running a marathon, they underestimate the physical nature of it. But
right.
You do get worn out, and you're out in the fresh air. And
if you play our course too, our course is hard to walk. Like you'll wear down. We get like 8 miles a day, and they probably get like 7. So it's a lot.
Yeah, right. So so that kind of leads to the first tip. If you are planning a golf trip, things that we want to consider: plan your trip that you want. These are not "Thus saith the Lord" opinions or anything, like they're just that, they're opinions, but they're things that we would consider, or I would consider if I was planning a trip myself now, based on what I have seen. And that's the first thing is less, maybe more. Maybe one fewer day, maybe don't play 36 every day. Less, maybe more. What would be your ideal number of days for a trip, Nick?
Probably 3. And I probably wouldn't do 36 any days. Just seems too much. I'd probably try to like play at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Kind of like midday. And then you're done. You got the night to have dinner with your friends and stuff like that. Maybe a cocktail or two, but don't overdo it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my ideal trip would be like 2 nights and 3 rounds, 3 days.
Okay.
And drive somewhere, play around, get to a hotel, whatever, play the next day, stay the night, and then play a third day and come home, or even, turn it around and, stay the night one more night after the last round, whatever it is. But I would say that the number of days that seems to be what I interact with most is people on 4-day trips.
Yeah, it's probably the most common number.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of have come to the opinion maybe 3 days, because 4 days just seems like
catch someone on the 4th day and they're all tired.
It really is just so different. It is so different. Like you're sleeping like garbage. You're drinking a lot. Most groups, not every group, but most, they're drinking more than they normally do.
Yeah, if it's a boys' trip, yeah.
Yep. And they're not getting good sleep. They're out in the fresh air. They're tired. They're exhausted. And so a loop that is terrible to get as a caddy oftentimes is on a Sunday to grab a group on their 4th day
Yeah.
right before they have to go catch a flight.
Yeah.
You might as well just have no fun, small tip.
Yeah. You got thinking about
written all
30,000 things. Yeah, they're going back to work probably the next day. It's,
Yeah.
They're miserable.
Well, like my guys, when they were walking up the fairway the other day, they're like, one's like, what time do you got to be in the office tomorrow? And they still had to catch flights out to Utah and Arizona,
Oh man.
that's
tough.
that night. And so then they had to be at work the next morning, and they all had kids.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, it's just kind of like scheduling is maybe more of a thing to consider than most people do,
Yeah.
So
Try to relax on your vacation.
But like
a
I
little
said,
bit.
like you get a text from your buddies right now. Hey, you want to go to wherever next year? You have all the energy in the world. You have all the excitement. You have all the euphoria. So you're just ready to say, let's do it. And
I'm sure I'm gonna get lit up right now from all my friends right now because I always turn them down when they try to plan golf trips for me.
wow,
So yeah.
yeah, you, Nick, it's time to come out of your shell.
Oh come on.
Yeah, no, we're gonna plan one, me and you,
All right.
and some others.
All right.
Here's another thing, and this is actually probably the tip that I believe most strongly in. Play the best course first. Do not save the best for last, if possible. I get it. There might be scheduling issues with the courses, but do you agree with that, Nick?
Yeah, for the exact reason we were just talking about. Like you're gonna be tired on the last day and like you're fresh on the first day, so you'll enjoy that the most, Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 100%. It's like, how many times have I seen people like on day 3 or 4 come and they're just so beaten up that now this place that they've been looking forward to for a whole year is just this monster to them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think try to plan for the best first, and then you relax a little after that too. And it just seems to me like it would work the best. I think that you should also, in your planning, and this is going to be self-serving, but I think you want to plan for a caddy. What do you think I mean by that?
Yeah, don't overpack your bag. I mean, I think a lot of people like pack extra stuff in their golf bag, because they treat it as like maybe an extra piece of luggage or something, and then forget to take stuff out. I hate that. They got like all their clothes in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Take that out before you get to the golf course, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Don't
think
bring all your balls for the golf trip
Yeah.
on the first day in that bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you want to just be mindful of that you're going to have a caddy. Like some people, it's like even people like, this is always an interesting thing. Like, you're going to have a caddy. Caddies work for tips. How is it that you have been planning this trip for a year and you get to the end and you're like, is there an ATM?
Yeah.
Is there,
Right.
I don't have any cash,
You take
like,
Venmo? Yeah.
I mean, how does that happen? And it's like, just, people don't think of it. It's not that they're bad people or anything like that, but I think more importantly, you're planning for not only things like that help us, like planning to have a bag, but also plan for what it means for you to have a caddy. Like, what do you want from them? Are you just looking
True.
for a Sherpa?
True.
Are you just looking for, a glorified donkey? Or what's meaningful? What's helpful for you? What kind of caddy is going to serve you the best? And be ready to communicate that. Like, to me, it's a great thing when a player comes up before a loop and it's like, hey, what really helps me out is if you just give me the yardage to the pin and tell me if we're out downwind or whatever. And then okay, I can communicate clearly and effectively with this guy.
True.
And so, some people don't know. Some people are having a caddy for the first time. I think my guy today, said this was the first time he's ever walked a golf course.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
I know some people like reading their own putts too, and they'll usually mention that to you, or we'll ask them, and that's like, I think some people think we get offended, like if they don't want us to read their putts. We could care less. It takes like a little load off of our shoulders,
Right. And I think just know that you've got this person who's you're going to spend the most time with. It is a unique relationship because we are like, I think back to it when we had kids, me and my wife, like you're thrust into this room with this nurse. Like the doctor just comes in for like the final push. You're almost like, why did we just pay you? Like, what did you go to school for? The baby just slipped into your hands, you know,
thanks,
if
Doc.
a nurse did everything for crying out loud, you know?
Yeah.
But you're like in this deeply intimate moment with somebody you didn't know beforehand.
Yeah.
And now you feel like by the middle of the night or however long you're there, like you feel like you've known them forever, or you feel like you have this special relationship with them.
Yeah.
And I just remember that about each of the nurses. Really? And in a way, that's kind of like the caddy golfer relationship. It's like you didn't know them, but you're spending so much close time together that it's like it's just an interesting, unique relationship that I love and stuff. But
it's an interesting comparison. Yeah, I've never thought about that.
Yeah. No, it's and also it's like you're in there and you're almost like, oh, I'm gonna see this nurse is now like my friend. No, after the baby comes out, you never see them again, or their shift ends or whatever. And you're like, oh yeah. What it does remind me of though is for us, so like that OB doctor, that nurse, they do that every day.
Yeah.
Well, me and my
for you,
wife,
it's like the biggest moment in your life. Yeah.
Me and my wife did it 4 times. You know, that's a lot for a lot of people nowadays, but it's still only 4 days of our life.
Yeah.
And for them, they do it every day. And I do remember the nurses never made it feel not special, you know, or like that they weren't engaged. And so I try to bring a little bit of that into the caddy relationship, but sometimes players don't know what to expect or don't know how to use a caddy. It's not like me. I knew we were going to have a baby, and so it's like, okay, your job is to make sure this baby comes out and lives and breathes. Okay, it's a very clear mission. For some of our golfers, they don't really know. Is he just here to carry my bags? Is he here to? Is he gonna club me, or does he give me information? Does he read? Whatever. So maybe think about that, players. There's some who are super experienced with it and go on these kind of trips all the time, but there are a lot more so than not. There are people who very rarely have caddies than there are people who have caddies all the time.
Yeah. It happens a lot, and people are like super nervous around us, and I hate that. Like, I wish you could just like eliminate the nerves right away. You could say some magic phrase and they're like not nervous anymore. But I haven't figured that one out yet.
Yeah. So, all right, another tip, and this is more with alcohol or whatever substances people are putting in their bodies. Pace yourself.
Yes.
Pace yourself. My gosh. The first, after hole 2 of the first round of a 4 or 5 day golf trip, and these guys are all getting double transfusions and just raring to go.
Yeah.
And
don't black out. Like, try to remember the day. It's gonna be a special one. Yeah.
I mean, just it's like, but it's also like, I mean, I've seen guys just absolutely obliterated by 1:30 p.m. and whatever on the first day, and you're like, okay, this is gonna be a long few days. And I'm amazed at what the closer I get to age 50, and I know how I felt this week because I ate too much chocolate. And it's like I felt like garbage. Okay.
Gosh, you're old.
I really I'm like, okay, I got to get back on my diet because I've been eating too much sugar and I'm inflamed and I'm disgusted. How are that's me just like eating some junk food. How are these people drinking double transfusions or vodkas and for 4 days straight? It boggles my mind. I'm amazed by it.
I don't get it either, man.
Yeah, so you don't get it, Nick. You sort of get it.
I mean, I sort of get it, but yeah. I'm getting older too. The hangovers suck.
Right. So I think this next one is something we talk about a lot. It's just manage expectations and prepare for some disappointment. I think that when people go on a golf trip and they show up, they are so excited to go low.
Yeah. Don't plan on doing that around our courses.
Well,
they're very
not
tough.
Just ours, but it's like any course you're playing for the first time.
Yes, for the first time, that's a huge phrase. Yeah. Once you play a course multiple times, obviously you'll play better on it. But I'd never play a course good the first time.
Yeah. Like, when people are asking you on the first green, like, are the greens fast or whatever, first of all, that's a relative question. Like, what do you consider fast? But besides that, if you don't know the answer to that question, the chances that you're going to like make a bunch of putts is low. It's just you're not familiar with the course. You don't have a feel for it.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to be ashamed about. It's you got to play it more often. And so certainly I think just sometimes the expectations are a little bit out of whack.
I had a guy ask me earlier this year, he's like, so what are the greens running? I'm like, about 10.5. He's like, on what scale? I'm like, what, the stint meter? I'm like, he's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah, right.
they're not super fast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're like, but then I'll have players who say they're lightning, so it's all
Yeah,
relative.
sure.
But
It
my
is,
point
yeah.
my point is we see every day how long it takes for people to get a feel for it, and usually, especially on the days they are running fast or running out, they don't ever get a feel for it.
No,
it
yeah,
takes
that's
time.
true. Yeah.
And so scores are usually not going to be as low as people would like. And even with a caddy, there are some times where just playing a course a second time, like even if the caddy the first time is directing
Yeah.
you off the tee box and here,
Yeah.
there's certainly something to be said about playing it 2 or 3 times additionally, and having some
Yeah.
course knowledge and stuff.
Yeah, you could paint this beautiful picture with your words, but like if someone doesn't see that
Oh, yeah.
shot, they're like, yeah, they're just not going to hit it,
Yeah, and there's a few holes in particular on our course where it doesn't matter how many times you explain it, it just doesn't, because
Yeah,
they're
it
not
doesn't
familiar
click.
with the course.
Yeah.
It just doesn't jump out to them. And it's not until then they walk up and they're like, oh, now I see. Yeah. So it will cost more than you think is something that I also want to note. And I only bring that up because recently I've just noticed more people talking about how expensive things are. And more than anything, it just makes me uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like focused on the cost. And, so then when they ask you, do you want something at the turn? No, I'll just get
No,
water.
yeah. I'm good.
Yeah. But I think, these trips are expensive, and I would encourage people, especially younger people who are maybe not as well off as some of the clients we have, that they, plan accordingly or, really budget well and pay for as much in advance as you can so that you don't feel like the shock of being there,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hear it a lot, but do you hear a lot of people talking or not just about the cost of the trip, the cost of like alcohol, for instance, that's something like it costs a lot and people aren't prepared for it sometimes. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the prices of every golf course is going up. So, it's getting harder and harder to play. I mean, I've noticed it myself. Courses around here, definitely north of $100 for a decent course, which it used to never be the case here. But, everybody's courses are going up.
Yeah, no, for sure. Golf that's one thing that as I get more into this golf gig and I'm trying to leverage, caddying into other areas, and so are you. And it's a part of our life and it's a part of our soul now, and we love it. But one challenge I have on occasion is I don't like that it does cost some people out of the market, and I know there's going to be some people from golf Twitter who are like, shrink the game, don't grow the game, because they don't like that their courses are too full or whatever. I mean, I think there's, build more golf courses or whatever. I would like people who love golf to be able to have golf be accessible to them or more people.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer to it, and I get it. Life is hard and it's not fair and all that. But occasionally I'm like, I don't like that some people are priced out of the market who it would be really special for. And so it does cost a lot. That's a hard reality of these golf trips. And I like when you and I go on a trip, it's unlikely that it'll be to one like Bandon Dunes, on a first, we're more than likely going to go to one where you're in carts and you have a kind of an all-inclusive cheaper package.
Well, luckily too, we are caddies, so a lot of people do offer us cheaper rates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, which is very nice, and we certainly appreciate that.
Yeah,
and try to.
No, that's
try
for
to help
sure.
those
We
courses
played
out.
last week where me and my partner beat you yet again at a course, and
never gonna live this down.
No, you shouldn't. And
What did your partner shoot?
Yeah. So he actually defies all the things we talk about. He hadn't played in 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? Really a extremely difficult golf course.
Extremely difficult, yeah.
And he shoots a 72. So
Yeah, after not playing for super long, claiming his hip hurts, and
yeah.
just
So,
smoked us.
but that course was generous enough to give us a caddy rate, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. But here's another thing, and this is something that I hope people. I think people are doing this when they're planning a golf trip, is remembering it's about the people you're with. You know, the chance to go on a golf trip is special, and the golf is special, and the courses are beautiful. But you're spending a concentrated amount of time with people who are presumably important to you.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And I think that that's just awesome. You know,
Yeah,
like golf
agreed.
brings people together, especially after a certain age. We're not going to go on a trip to pick up basketball, or things we did as kids, and,
Definitely not.
Golf is that sport that's
Yeah.
going to afford us this opportunity.
Yeah, you're not necessarily gonna remember all the shots you hit by far, unless you get a hole in one or something like that. But
Yeah.
you're definitely gonna remember something stupid your friend said on hole 9 or something like that. That you're
Yeah.
gonna be joking about that for years,
Yeah. No, totally. And I think that we just, I think we have to remember that golf is unique in the way that you are with this group of people in your foursome, your twosome, but also a bigger group. It builds relationships. And I guess I'm getting to the point in my life where that's more important to me than how I score and, some of the other things that might be important to people. Like I want to go on a golf trip with people that I'd have fun with, and it'd be just a outlet for me, and you'd have a lot of laughs and all that kind of stuff. So it's about the people you're with, and golf does that better than other sports do, in my opinion. That's what makes it special. So, I kind of touched on this when I was talking about I never planned on getting to a discussion about OB nurses and having babies, but we went that way. But what are some ways that we can make sure that people who are planning this trip, and they come out and see us next year and it's costing them thousands of dollars, what are some things that we've got to be mindful of that we make sure that it's special for them and important? Because that means a lot to me. I presume it does to you too.
Yeah, just like giving them professional effort. Just do your best no matter what, every single day. Because like you said, like it's their one experience or one time to experience the course we're at, and just try to make sure they have a special day.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of like what I was saying is, remember, for them, this is their one and only, maybe, or even if they've been there before, it's not like they're playing every week or whatever. And so, for us, it's every day. And some things might get old. Like, that's why we laugh at some of the things people say that we've heard 1,000 times, because they don't know we've heard it 1,000 times, and we want to be polite and kind. Yeah. Or it's why
I didn't come all this way to lay up, Mark.
Yeah. It's why you go out of your way to be patient and kind, and also reassuring to them by letting them know you don't care if they aren't good or whatever.
Yes.
You're trying to set the tone that this is special for them. And so I try to remember that. Like, hey, this is routine. I might be tired. I might be tired of, walking the same hills or hearing the same stories or jokes or whatever, But for them, this is their first time or their only time or one in a few times. And so we're going to make it special. And because I hate it when I don't like it when I'm in a situation where somebody minimizes how something is important to me. And so I'm trying to make sure that I don't do the same thing for them. There are days that it's more natural to follow through on this pledge. There are days where it's easier than others. And there's some days where we just don't get it right because of whatever reason. But for the most part, I think we provide a top-notch experience for people.
I agree. Yeah. I always try my hardest, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, actually, there's days where there's a lot of pain on the legs, or you're tired, you're exhausted.
Second loop sometimes,
yeah. And so you're doing your best. I do think that is true, that, like, you are... There's days where I wish my best was a little quicker on the second loop, for instance, you know.
no doubt.
But you're certainly trying to do your best. And when people walk away, like when I see groups on the 18th hole hugging or just, you can tell they had a special day. Like today, a recent group, when we were like shaking hands, we're like, oh, I'll say like, oh, it's my pleasure. And one of the players from the group was like, no. The pleasure was ours. And you're like,
wow.
Like that means a lot. You know, they had the time of their lives out there, and we were a part of that, and I love it. I love it so much. So we're going to keep on doing that. So hey, plan a trip out to Wisconsin next year, and if you do, look us up, and we will be there to hopefully make it the best experience that it can be. And if you have any questions about a trip out by us, and some more things that you'd like to ask, be sure to check us out. Get in contact with me specifically at Caddy Tales via X/Twitter. Send me a DM and I will help you and answer anything that I can. And if you want to be put in touch with Nick, I can also help do that. All right, Nick, as we close here today, good caddy, bad caddy. What's a good caddy moment?
I mean, I think my good caddy moment and my bad caddy moment are the same. Trying to figure out lines for this guy that's driving at 3:30 off the tee. Playing the green tees, so it's you're like, where are we gonna hit it? Like what club are we gonna hit? You know, all that stuff. And I got some right and I got some really wrong. So that was interesting.
Yeah, that always throws you for a loop when that happens. Like, because you're also used to saying the same thing every day, and then there's that occasional player that it's like, oh, these rules don't apply. So. I can see how that happens. My good caddy moment, I had a guy, 15-ish handicap, nice guy, nothing bad to say about him, but no doubt a grinder, and no doubt with big eyes, and was very hard on himself. Maybe not hard on me, but maybe, a little too living and dying on every shot and whatever. And one, I was patient and stuff, and just accepting that that's his personality and stuff. But also, I think that gave him some information and help that really made a difference. And he is one of the few players who was a higher handicapper who came and had a much better round than that handicap. So, because usually the higher the handicappers, they're nowhere close to, doing well. So this guy, I think, one, had an honest handicap, but two, certainly on the back nine, made some putts, or got a putt, a first putt real close, and things just really clicked. And I felt proud of that because there was this like moment where I'm like, okay, dude, you're crazy. You're not. You should be shooting 150 out here, or whatever. Not that high, but. When you're having your darker moments or whatever, those thoughts can run through your head, and you're like, no. He just. Be patient, help him out, and that's what we did. So, as far as my bad caddy moment, I tell you what, though, I hate to use a similar one that I use. Is I find a lot of golf balls. I do.
Yeah.
But man, there were a few this week where I am like, it is right freaking here.
They're not cutting the rough this year, I guess. Yeah. I just learned that. Yeah. Oh.
And I feel just so like helpless and sad and embarrassed and bad, like
I hear you.
How is this not happening? And I will say that's been, if I would say there's a struggle that has existed this year for me, kind of as a general thing, it's been that. And I find a lot of golf balls. It's not like you come and we're going to lose every golf ball. Don't misunderstand me. But there's no doubt been some where it's like, it's got to be right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It happened to me today. Yeah.
And and then it's just not. So I'm trying to find the answers for that because everybody will be happier. All right, friends. Hey, we hope to see you on a golf trip sometime. Because if we do, we will have the opportunity to be together firsthand as we live out the truth that no matter where you've been, no matter how bad the bunker, how big the shank, the miss, whatever it is, no matter how bleak it looks ahead of you on the golf course, but most especially in life, there is always a next shot full of hope and opportunity. So take yours.